20. Black actors you didn't know passed away. At Legends of Black Excellence, we aim to spotlight the voices and lives that history too often overlooks. These 20 actors may not have had headlines in their final moments, but their work left permanent marks on film, television, and culture. But here's the question. Why did so many of these legends pass without widespread recognition? Is it industry bias or changing audience priorities? We want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's have a real conversation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us as we continue honoring Black excellence loudly and proudly. Bill Cobbs. Bill Cobbs may not have been a household name, but his face was instantly familiar to generations of film and television audiences. Born on June 16, 1934 in Cleveland, Ohio, Wilbert Bill Cobbs lived a full life before ever stepping onto a professional stage. He served honorably in the U.S. Air Force for 8 years, sold cars, and held various blue-collar jobs before discovering acting in his mid-30s, a path few take so late and even fewer master so gracefully. His breakthrough began on the stage in New York City during the 1970s, where he quickly earned a reputation for bringing depth to even the briefest appearances. Over a career that spanned more than 50 years, he amassed over 150 credits across film and television. From his gentle performance as Whitney Houston's father in The Bodyguard to the wise night security guard in Night at the Museum, Cobbs brought gravitas, authenticity, and soul to each part. He had a unique talent for making supporting characters memorable, whether in Demolition Man, The Hudsucker Proxy, or recurring roles in I'll Fly Away and Oz. His presence always elevated the narrative. Even into his 80s, he remained active, bringing the same energy and focus that defined his prime. Unlike many actors chasing stardom, Cobbs found fulfillment in the work itself. His performances resonated not because of flash or fame, but because of sincerity. He didn't dominate the spotlight. He enhanced it. Bill Cobbs passed away on June 25, 2024 at the age of 90. Though he may never have been a marquee name, his influence is undeniable. He represented the working actor's dream, steady, respected, and irreplaceable. In every project, he was the soul you didn't know you needed until he was gone. Sonja Eddy. Sonja Eddy was more than a soap opera actress. She was a steady force, a fierce presence, and an emotional anchor for fans of daytime television. Born on June 17, 1967 in Concord, California, she initially pursued a degree in psychology at the University of California, Davis, before her love for the stage led her into performance. That unexpected pivot would shape her life and television history. She found her calling in acting during college, where she embraced theater with raw talent and sharp comedic timing. After years of working in regional productions and small roles, Eddy landed the career-defining part of Epiphany Johnson on General Hospital in 2006. For 16 years, she portrayed the head nurse with commanding authority and compassion, seamlessly blending strength with nurturing care. Her portrayal wasn't just believable, it was deeply felt. Audiences saw Epiphany as more than a character. She became the motherly figure, the disciplinarian, and the unshakable presence in a world of dramatic chaos. Eddy also appeared in the General Hospital spin-off Night Shift, further cementing her connection to the franchise. Off-screen, she brought humor and heart to everything she touched, including her earlier work in sitcoms like Seinfeld, The Drew Carey Show, and Malcolm in the Middle. She had a gift for lighting up scenes even in brief moments. In December 2022, what began as a routine surgical procedure turned fatal. Eddy died from an aggressive infection at age 55, shocking colleagues and fans alike. Her passing sparked an outpouring of love across social media from viewers who felt like they'd lost someone truly personal. Sonja Eddy never needed the spotlight to be unforgettable. She simply walked into a scene and owned it. Her loss left a space in television that no one else can quite fill. Max Julien. Max Julien wasn't just an actor, he was a cultural architect. Born on January 1, 1934 in Washington, D.C., he crafted a persona that defined an era. Though classically trained and originally focused on stage work, Julian's defining moment came when he stepped into the role of Goldie in the 1973 film The Mac. That performance didn't just earn praise, it became an icon of black cinema and a blueprint for cool that transcended the screen. The Mac told the story of a street hustler turned pimp, but Julianne elevated Goldie into something more, a symbol of power, style, and defiance in a system stacked against him. His silky voice, magnetic gaze, and commanding screen presence turned the role into legend. Rap artists like Snoop Dogg and Too Short would later cite the Mac as gospel, and its influence rippled into music, fashion, and street culture for decades. But Max Julian's artistry wasn't confined to acting. He was also a sculptor and fashion designer, channeling his creativity into various mediums. He even co-wrote and co-produced the film Cleopatra Jones, another milestone in the blaxploitation movement. While others cashed in on the genre, Julian infused it with soul, authenticity, and purpose. Later roles, like his appearance in Def Jam's How to Be a Player, showed that his charisma hadn't faded with time. Even in his later years, he remained active, living in Los Angeles with his wife, Arabella Chavez. Julianne passed away on January 1, 2022, his 88th birthday, due to cardiopulmonary arrest. Though many never learned his name, they knew Goldie. Max Julianne redefined masculinity for a generation of black men and paved the way for a new kind of leading man. He didn't just act, he set a cultural tone still echoing today. Stephen "Twitch" Boss. Stephen Laurel Boss, known affectionately as Twitch, was a man powered by rhythm and heart. Born on September 29, 1982 in Montgomery, Alabama, he earned his nickname because he couldn't sit still as a child. That boundless energy transformed into a lifelong gift dance that radiated pure joy. He first gained national attention in 2008 as a contestant on So You Think You Can Dance, where his charisma, athleticism, and emotional storytelling through movement made him a fan favorite. He didn't win the season, but he won something greater, an enduring place in the hearts of millions. Ellen DeGeneres saw his spark and invited him to join the Ellen DeGeneres Show as a DJ in 2014. More than just a sidekick, Twitch became her dance partner, audience energizer, and eventually co-executive producer. His infectious smile and uplifting presence made him the heartbeat of the show. He also appeared in films showcasing his versatility in roles like Step Up and Magic Mike XL, and brought choreography and soul to countless television specials. Despite his sunny public persona, Twitch was silently battling inner turmoil. On December 13, 2022, the world was stunned to learn he had died by suicide at just 40 years old in a motel in Encino, California. The news rippled through Hollywood, prompting open conversations about mental health, even among those who appear outwardly joyful. He is survived by his wife, Allison Holker, and their 3 children. Tributes poured in, remembering him not just as an entertainer, but as a light. Stephen "Twitch" Boss didn't just dance, he connected. He lifted people without saying a word. Though his music has stopped, the rhythm he created continues to move us all. Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier wasn't merely an actor. He was a revolution in a tuxedo. Born on February 20, 1927 in Miami, Florida, to Bahamian parents. He grew up on Cat Island in the Bahamas without electricity or running water. He came to the U.S. as a teenager, determined to create a better future. Facing rejection due to his accent and lack of formal training, Poitier taught himself American English by mimicking radio broadcasts. That perseverance paid off when he joined the American Negro Theater and began his journey towards cinematic immortality. In 1964, he became the first black man to win an Academy Award for Best Actor with his role in Lilies of the Field. But even before that, films like The Defiant Ones, 1958, and A Raisin in the Sun, 1961, showed his capacity to lead with integrity, intelligence, and quiet strength. Poitier didn't just act, he challenged America to see black men as complex, moral, and dignified human beings. Guess who's coming to dinner? In the Heat of the Night and To Sir with Love, weren't just hits, they were social turning points. He also directed films including Uptown Saturday Night and Stir Crazy, proving his talent wasn't limited to being in front of the camera. Off-screen, he was a diplomat, author, and recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2009. Sidney Poitier passed away on January 6, 2022, at age 94 at his Beverly Hills home. His death marked the end of an era, but his legacy remains alive in every role that challenges stereotypes, every filmmaker who refuses limits, and every actor of color who dares to lead. He didn't just change Hollywood, he elevated it. Jack Knight. Jack Knight was the kind of talent you don't forget, sharp, fearless, and full of promise. Born on November 8, 1993, in Seattle, Washington, he began doing stand-up in his teens and quickly built a name for himself on the underground comedy circuit. He brought a rare blend of raw honesty and surreal wit that caught the attention of Hollywood early. His breakthrough came not in front of the camera, but in the writer's room. Knight became one of the youngest writers for the hit ABC series Blackish, where his ability to merge social commentary with humor made him an essential voice. He later worked on Big Mouth, the acclaimed Netflix animated series, not only as a writer, but also as the voice of the character Devon. Knight's stand-up was bold, unfiltered, and deeply personal. His debut Netflix special Jack Knight Big Mouth Presents aired in 2018 and introduced him to a global audience. It showed a young artist wrestling with race identity and manhood with jokes that punched hard but landed with heart. Behind the scenes, Knight was considered a rising powerhouse. He co-created and starred in Bust Down, a Peacock comedy series that premiered in early 2022 alongside friends and fellow comedians. It was raw, inventive, and unapologetically his. But on July 14, 2022, the comedy world was shaken. Jack Knight died by suicide at just 28 years old. The news was devastating, not just for what was lost, but for what might have been. Friends described him as generous, loyal, and deeply creative. He was more than a comic. He was a generational thinker with a voice just beginning to find its full volume. The laughter he sparked lives on, but so does the aching reminder of how fragile brilliance can be. John Beasley. John Beasley never craved fame, he just wanted to act. And in doing so, he became a cornerstone of American cinema and television. Born on June 26, 1943 in Omaha, Nebraska, Beasley didn't pursue acting until his mid-40s. Before that, he worked as a railroad clerk and youth counselor, unknowingly preparing to bring grounded, real-life wisdom to every character he would play. He first appeared on screen in the late 1980s and quickly gained a reputation for stealing scenes through authenticity. His breakout role came in Rudy 1993, where he portrayed the kind-hearted Notre Dame groundskeeper whose quiet mentorship uplifted the film. He had a gift for playing ordinary men with extraordinary emotional depth. Beasley's resume reads like a map of Hollywood's best genres. He appeared in The Apostle, The Sum of All Fears, Walking Tall, The Purge Anarchy, and Sinister 2. Navigating everything from religious drama to political thrillers and horror. Each time he brought quiet intensity and truth. Television gave him an even wider platform. On the WB family drama, Everwood Beasley played Irv Harper, a retired bus driver and voice of reason. His narration became the soul of the show, giving it a reflective heartbeat few series ever find. Off-screen, he was a champion of theater and opened the John Beasley Theater and Workshop in Omaha, mentoring young black artists and giving voice to underrepresented stories. John Beasley passed away on May 30, 2023 at the age of 79 following complications from liver tests. His death wasn't widely publicized, but those who knew his work felt the loss deeply. He never needed fanfare. John Beasley made stories feel lived in and characters feel human. In a world of spectacle, he gave us something rarer, quiet excellence. Clarence Gilliard Jr. Clarence Gilliard Jr. had one of those faces you instantly trusted or feared depending on the role. Born on December 24, 1955 in Moses Lake, Washington, He was raised in a military family and eventually pursued acting after studying at California State University and later earning an MFA in theater performance. His career kicked off in the 1980s, and he quickly found himself in unforgettable productions. As Sundown in Top Gun 1986, he held his own among a sea of adrenaline and jet engines. But it was his performance in Die Hard 1988 as Theo, the cool and calculating tech genius among Hans Gruber's team, that introduced his brilliance to a global audience. He went on to redefine his image entirely. In Matlock, he played Conrad McMasters, a charming private investigator opposite Andy Griffith. Then came Walker, Texas Ranger, where he spent nearly a decade as Jimmy Trevette, Chuck Norris's loyal and insightful partner. Behind the camera, Gilliard was deeply committed to education. He became a professor of film and theater at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, mentoring young actors and inspiring them with stories from the trenches of television. In real life, Gilliard was a man of faith, having overcome struggles including substance use that shadowed his early years. He used his platform to talk openly about redemption and self-discipline. Clarence Gilliard Jr. passed away on November 28, 2022. His cause of death was not publicly disclosed, but tributes poured in from students, fans, and colleagues alike. He was a rare performer who mastered both menace and warmth, villainy and virtue. Whether cracking systems or cracking jokes, Gilliard brought soul to every screen. His legacy lives on in reruns, lecture halls, and the many lives he helped shape. Ricky Harris. Ricky Harris had that rare gift, the ability to make people laugh before even opening his mouth. Born on October 5, 1962 in Long Beach, California, he grew up surrounded by rhythm and grit, later translating both into a career that blended comedy television music and raw authenticity. Harris began his career doing voice work on albums by rap legends like Snoop Dogg and Warren G, creating comedic skits that would become cult classics. His unmistakable tone, part swagger, part satire, made him a fixture in West Coast hip-hop storytelling. But he wasn't just a behind-the-scenes jokester. He belonged in front of the camera. His most beloved role came in Everybody Hates Chris, where he played Malvo, the neighborhood ex-con with unpredictable energy and hilarious one-liners. Despite being a recurring character, Harris brought so much flavor that every scene he appeared in became an instant highlight. Earlier, he had built his TV resume with roles in Moesha, The People Under the Stairs, and The Jamie Foxx Show, proving he could pivot between outrageous and grounded. In 2015's Sundance hit Dope, he showed his dramatic side, earning praise for bringing realism to a film defined by its stylized cool. Off-screen, Ricky was deeply rooted in his community, never turning his back on the streets that raised him. He understood pain and channeled it into his humor, not to mock struggle, but to heal through laughter. On December 26, 2016, Ricky Harris died of a heart attack at age 54. The news hit the entertainment world hard, especially within the hip-hop and comedy scenes where he had long been a respected veteran. He never headlined Hollywood, but he made it laugh, think, and feel with every performance. Ricky Harris was more than funny. He was real, and that's what made him unforgettable. Michael Kenneth Williams. Michael Kenneth Williams turned his pain into power, and the result was unforgettable. Born on November 22, 1966 in Brooklyn, New York, Williams navigated a tough upbringing before finding solace in the arts. He studied dance performing with the likes of Madonna and George Michael, but it was a bar fight that altered his destiny. The distinctive scar across his face might have limited another actor, but for Williams it became his signature. His most iconic role was Omar Little in HBO's The Wire, a character unlike anything TV had seen. Omar was a stick-up man with a strict moral code, openly gay in a violent world, and delivered with a quiet, bone-deep authenticity. Williams infused him with depth, pain, and strange nobility. He didn't just play the role, he embodied it. Beyond The Wire, his resume included powerful turns in Boardwalk Empire, where he played Chalky White, and When They See Us, in which his portrayal of a wrongly accused father was heartbreakingly raw. He had a unique ability to humanize characters living on society's margins. Williams was also a vocal advocate for criminal justice reform, often reflecting on his own past struggles with addiction. Tragically, on September 6, 2021, he was found dead in his Brooklyn apartment from a fentanyl-laced drug overdose. He was just 54. His passing left a void in American storytelling. Williams wasn't just a performer, he was a mirror reflecting the often ignored humanity of those failed by the system. Every glance, every line he delivered felt earned, like a man who had lived every word. He didn't ask for sympathy, only understanding. Michael Kenneth Williams gave us truth even when it hurt, and in doing so, he changed what acting could mean. Richard Roundtree. Richard Roundtree wasn't just a star, he was a movement. Born July 9, 1942 in New Rochelle, New York, Roundtree began as a fashion model before being discovered for a role that would forever alter American pop culture. In 1971, Shaft hit theaters, and with it, a new archetype was born. As private detective John Shaft Roundtree exuded confidence, danger, and undeniable cool. Leather trench coat, slick walk, smooth talk, he had it all. The film not only grossed over $13 million on a modest budget, but also kickstarted the blaxploitation era, proving that a black leading man could carry a major motion picture with box office success. Shaft was more than entertainment, it was a cultural reset. For the first time, black audiences saw themselves on screen as the hero, not the sidekick. Roundtree followed it up with 4 more Shaft films, including cameos in later reboots alongside Samuel L. Jackson, where he graciously passed the torch, but never gave up the legend. Yet his talents extended far beyond action. Roundtree delivered moving performances in Roots, Being Mary Jane, and Generations, showing range in drama, television, and even stage. Directors loved his quiet professionalism. Audiences loved his presence. He continued acting well into his 70s, never losing his edge or charisma. But in October 2023, Roundtree died from pancreatic cancer at the age of 81 in Los Angeles. While the news made headlines, many younger fans never fully grasped how much ground he broke. Roundtree didn't just redefine who could be a leading man, he created the mold. Without him, there is no Denzel, no Wesley, no Chadwick. He opened the door and walked through it with swagger, then held it open for everyone who came after. He wasn't just Shaft, he was the blueprint. Nichelle Nichols. Nichelle Nichols didn't just act in space, she changed it. Born Grace Dell Nichols on December 28, 1932, in Robbins, Illinois, she began her career as a jazz singer and dancer, performing with legends like Duke Ellington, long before she stepped onto a spaceship set. But it was her role as Lieutenant Nyota Uhura in Star Trek 1966 to 1969 that would make her an icon in both pop culture and social progress. In an era when black women were rarely seen in positions of authority on screen, Nichols portrayed the communications officer aboard the USS Enterprise with intelligence, poise, and dignity. Her presence was so powerful that civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. personally convinced her to stay on the show when she considered quitting. He told her she was playing the first non-stereotypical role portrayed by a black woman in television history. She famously shared American television's first interracial kiss with William Shatner, a groundbreaking moment that challenged censorship and racial taboos in 1968. After Star Trek, Nichols didn't retire quietly. She partnered with NASA to recruit women and people of color into the astronaut program, helping inspire figures like Dr. Mae Jemison, the first black woman in space. Her work directly influenced space exploration, making her legacy cosmic in both scope and symbolism. On July 30, 2022, Nichelle Nichols passed away at 89 from heart failure in Silver City, New Mexico. The universe didn't just lose an actress, it lost a trailblazer who proved science fiction could spark real-world change. She once helped us imagine a better future. Then she helped build it. Mary Alice. Mary Alice's performances were never loud, but they always lingered. Born on December 3, 1936 in Indianola, Mississippi, and raised in Chicago, she began her career as a school teacher before discovering her gift for the stage. With an unmistakable presence, she transitioned from theater to screen with a depth that left critics and audiences breathless. She first gained acclaim in New York's theater circles, winning a Tony Award in 1987 for her role in Fences by August Wilson. Her command of the stage translated seamlessly to television and film, where she specialized in characters that carried strength, sorrow, and wisdom in equal measure. Her performance as Letty Bostick in A Different World brought a maternal realism to sitcom television. On the big screen, she played impactful roles in Malcolm X Awakenings and Down in the Delta. But perhaps her most high-profile part came when she stepped into the role of the Oracle in The Matrix Revolutions, after the death of Gloria Foster. Rather than copy her predecessor, Alice gave the character her own thoughtful warmth and quiet mystery. She also earned an Emmy in 1993 for her role in I'll Fly Away, showcasing her unparalleled ability to blend grace with gravitas. Alice had a way of delivering a line that made you stop and feel. There was weight in her silence and wisdom in her gaze. Mary Alice passed away on July 27, 2022, at age 85 in New York City of natural causes. Her passing didn't dominate headlines, but in her absence, the acting world lost a quiet titan. She never needed to shout to be heard. With every glance, gesture, and breath, Mary Alice left behind a body of work that speaks volumes and always will. Chance Perdomo. Chance Perdomo was the kind of actor who didn't just play a role, he made you feel it. Born on October 19, 1996 in Los Angeles and raised in the UK, he carried a unique blend of British refinement and American edge. From the moment he hit the screen, it was clear he was destined for something special. Perdomo's breakout role came in the 2018 BBC drama Killed by My Debt, where he portrayed Jerome Rogers, a young man whose life spirals due to predatory lending practices. The performance was harrowing, real, and deeply moving, earning him a BAFTA Television Award nomination. At only 21, he had already proven he could carry complex material with emotional intelligence beyond his years. He reached global audiences with Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix, playing Ambrose Spellman, the enigmatic pansexual warlock who quickly became a fan favorite. His blend of charm, intellect, and mystery made Ambrose more than a side character. He became a cornerstone of the show's emotional depth. Later, Perdomo joined Gen V, a spin-off of The Boys, solidifying his place as one of Hollywood's most promising young talents. He was on the verge of breakthrough stardom, but tragedy struck. On March 30th, 2024, Chance Perdomo died in a solo motorcycle accident in upstate New York. He was just 27 years old. No other vehicles were involved, and the incident shocked his castmates and fans worldwide. The entertainment world mourned not only the loss of a gifted actor, but also the future he represented. Chance was more than potential, he was already fulfilling it. His death serves as a haunting reminder that even the brightest flames can be extinguished too soon, leaving behind a trail of light that reminds us of what might have been. Louis Gossett Jr. Louis Gossett Jr. was a man of many firsts and even more staying power. Born on May 27, 1936 in Brooklyn, New York, he began acting after a high school injury sidelined his basketball dreams. That detour led him to the Broadway stage by age 17 and set him on a path toward history-making greatness. He became the first black man to win an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor with his role as the uncompromising Gunnery Sergeant Emile Foley in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982. His portrayal, gruff, complex, and deeply human, earned him not just an Oscar, but a permanent place in cinematic history. Before that, Gossett had already made waves as Fiddler in the groundbreaking miniseries Roots 1977, a performance that earned him an Emmy and helped shift the national conversation on race and history. Whether playing generals, mentors, or villains, Gossett brought authenticity and power to every frame. His filmography was vast: Iron Eagle, The Principal, Enemy Mine, The Josephine Baker Story, and dozens more. He was one of the rare performers who transitioned effortlessly between television and film mainstream blockbusters and intimate dramas. Late in life, his role as Will Reeves in HBO's Watchmen 2019 was a powerful reminder of his continued relevance and depth. Gossett was also a fierce advocate for social justice and founded the Racism Foundation to fight racial inequality. He spoke openly about surviving racism in Hollywood and using his platform to uplift the next generation. On March 29, 2024, Louis Gossett Jr. died of complications related to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease (COPD) in Santa Monica. He was 87. He didn't just open doors, he kicked them down with dignity and left them wide open for others to walk through. His name will always be spoken with respect. Hinton Battle. Hinton Battle wasn't just talented, he was transformational. Born on November 29, 1956 in Neubrücke, West Germany, and raised in Washington, D.C. Battle began his journey in the arts with ballet training at the Jones Haywood School of Ballet. He later refined his craft at the School of American Ballet in New York, setting the stage literally for a legendary musical theater career. At just 18, he made his Broadway debut replacing Ben Vereen as the Scarecrow in The Wiz. From there, he became a fixture of American theater, winning an astonishing 3 Tony Awards for Best Featured Actor in a Musical, an unmatched record. Those wins came from powerhouse performances in Sophisticated Ladies, 1981, The Tap Dance Kid, 1984, and Miss Saigon, 1991. Battle's skills spanned far beyond singing and acting. He was a dancer of remarkable fluidity and a choreographer with vision. His movements were athletic, yet poetic, each step telling a story. He worked behind the scenes on numerous productions, helping other performers shine with the same precision he brought to his own roles. Though his heart belonged to Broadway, he also made memorable appearances on screen, including Dreamgirls Idlewild, and even cult TV series like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where he played a sinister tap-dancing demon with eerie charm. Sadly, on January 30th, 2024, Hinton Battle passed away at the age of 67 following a long illness. His death marked the end of an era in live theater, but his influence remains deeply embedded in the craft. Battle didn't just perform, he elevated. In a world of stars, he was a constellation all his own, guiding countless performers toward greatness with grace, mastery, and unforgettable rhythm. Moses J. Mosley. Moses J. Mosley may have played silent characters on screen, but his impact was impossible to ignore. Born on December 23, 1990 in Aiken, South Carolina, Mosley initially studied law enforcement before modeling opened the door to acting. That shift would soon lead him to one of television's most culturally defining series. He became widely recognized for his role as one of Michonne's chained, jawless walkers in The Walking Dead. Though wordless, the performance was iconic. Mosley conveyed menace and tragedy with pure physicality. In a show dominated by gore and chaos, his presence brought quiet emotion to the undead. Far from being limited to horror, he appeared in Queen of the South, Watchmen, and American Soul, demonstrating range, versatility, and ambition. His tall frame and distinctive look made him perfect for genre work, but it was his behind-the-scenes kindness that stuck with cast and crew. Mosley was also a frequent guest at fan conventions where he connected warmly with audiences and shared his gratitude for being part of something bigger. Despite his growing list of credits, he remained humble and driven, continuing to pursue roles that challenged him. But on January 26, 2022, his body was discovered near Hudson Bridge in Stockbridge, Georgia. He had died from a gunshot wound. Authorities ruled it a suicide, though friends and family expressed confusion and heartbreak, citing no known warning signs. He was only 31. His passing shed light on the unseen emotional toll that working actors can face, especially those still trying to break through in a brutal industry. Moses J. Mosley left behind more than roles. He left behind questions, sorrow, and a reminder that every background figure may be fighting a private war. He made the silent unforgettable. and in death his voice is finally being heard. Carl Weathers. Carl Weathers didn't just act, he commanded the screen. Born on January 14, 1948 in New Orleans, Louisiana, Weathers first made his mark as an athlete. He played college football at San Diego State and even briefly joined the NFL with the Oakland Raiders. But once he left the field, he set his sights on Hollywood and never looked back. He burst into superstardom as Apollo Creed in Rocky 1976, a character inspired by Muhammad Ali. Across 4 films, he evolved from antagonist to mentor. Turning Creed into more than a rival, he was the heart of the franchise. His performance was layered, confident, cunning, and ultimately courageous. Weathers seamlessly transitioned into action films like Predator 1987, where he stood toe-to-toe with Arnold Schwarzenegger. In action, Jackson and Hurricane Smith, he became a leading man in his own right, bringing physicality and charisma to every punch and one-liner. He wasn't limited to action. In Happy Gilmore, his turn as the one-handed golf coach Chubbs showcased his comic timing and endeared him to a new generation of fans. Most recently, his role as Greef Karga in The Mandalorian reminded audiences that he still had gravitas and that unmistakable voice. Beyond acting, Weathers also directed TV episodes and advocated for arts education. He brought discipline and grace from his athletic background into every set he stepped on. Carl Weathers passed away on February 1, 2024, at age 76 due to complications from atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. His loss was deeply felt across generations. He was more than Apollo Creed. He was a rare blend of power and poise, a man who fought his way into Hollywood and made himself unforgettable. Andre Braugher. Andre Braugher had a presence that never needed to shout. Born on July 1, 1962 in Chicago, Illinois, he trained at Juilliard and brought a classical rigor to every performance. Whether in uniform or in turmoil, he had the uncanny ability to make stillness resonate louder than chaos. He first drew critical acclaim for Glory 1989, playing a Union soldier in a film that redefined Civil War storytelling. But it was his portrayal of Detective Frank Pembleton on Homicide: Life on the Street that earned him an Emmy and solidified his status as one of television's most respected dramatic actors. Braugher later flipped expectations with Brooklyn Nine-Nine, playing Captain Raymond Holt, a gay stoic precinct commander who became a beloved figure for his deadpan humor and nuanced humanity. In less capable hands, the role could have been a stereotype. In Braugher's, it became a masterclass in restraint and timing. He also delivered powerful performances in Thief Men of a Certain Age, Frequency, and The Good Fight. No matter the genre, Braugher brought intelligence, gravity, and quiet fire. Colleagues admired his work ethic. Audiences trusted him instinctively. In December 2023, Braugher died from lung cancer at age 61. The news stunned fans and peers, many of whom had seen him working steadily and appearing as composed as ever. He was never the loudest voice in the room, but often the most important. Braugher chose roles that mattered, stories that challenged, and performances that lingered long after the screen faded to black. He made leadership look effortless, emotion feel honest, and television better. Always. Roger E. Mosley. Roger E. Mosley never needed flash to be unforgettable. He brought truth, loyalty, and quiet strength to every performance. Born on December 18, 1938 in Los Angeles, California, Mosley was a product of the city he would later become famous in. Raised in the Watts neighborhood by a single mother, he turned to acting in the late 1960s, determined to tell stories that reflected real people and real lives. His big break came in 1980 when he was cast as Theodore T.C. Calvin on Magnum P.I. As the helicopter pilot and best friend to Tom Selleck's private investigator, Mosley's character was cool, dependable, and deeply human. What most fans didn't know was that Mosley was a licensed pilot in real life, though the studio refused to let him fly during the show's production. Unlike many sidekicks on television, TC wasn't a caricature. Mosley infused him with heart and intelligence, making him an equal partner, not just comic relief. His presence grounded the show and gave it soul. Beyond Magnum, he appeared in films such as Leadbelly, where he portrayed legendary blues singer Huddie Ledbetter with raw intensity, as well as The Mac Heart Condition and Unlawful Entry. He also guest-starred on shows like Kojak Sanford and Son and the Love Boat. Mosley was known off-screen as a man of discipline and integrity. He avoided roles that he felt degraded black characters and proudly lived a life free from scandal. He was a devoted husband and father and a mentor to many. On August 7, 2022, Roger E. Mosley passed away at age 83 due to injuries from a car accident. His legacy remains not in headlines, but in the quiet dignity he brought to every role and in the trust audiences placed in him without hesitation. He didn't just play heroes, he lived like one. At Legends of Black Excellence, we believe every life deserves recognition, especially those whose brilliance may have gone unnoticed. These 20 actors left behind legacies that shaped generations, even if their final curtain calls were quiet. Whether they were trailblazers or unsung heroes, their impact is undeniable. Let's honor them not with controversy, but with gratitude. Which of these legends touched your life the most? Share your memories below. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to celebrate more stories that deserve to be remembered with the respect they've earned.